For Dan Fitzpatrick, family isn't just important, it's everything.
I was fortunate to be part of a large Irish Catholic family in Toledo, Ohio. 7 children in our family, 6 boys, 1 girl. My father, at a very young age, at my age 13, my father had a stroke. And he spent the last 17 years of his life as an invalid. He was cared for in our home. My mother was the chief caregiver. But all of us rallied, and at very young ages, we all went out and got jobs. And the restaurant industry was something easy for me to get into as a young kid, and taught me many life lessons and gave me an opportunity which I still relish today.
In growing his children, did they do an amazing job of getting them to realize the importance of faith, getting them to realize the importance of helping others, getting them to be disciplined? Shocking, like shocking in my view.
Dan is a devoted family man. He's so dedicated to his children, his grandchildren, and extended family. He's always there for them.
One of the coolest things is watching him as a grandfather and seeing, I noticed some differences, but a lot of similarities as I was a kid. But my 5 kids will run over to him at Granddad, Granddad. Next thing you know, he may be playing tackle football on the floor with them. And he is just so in the moment and makes sure that he gives his attention to all of them.
He told everybody in the family that if you want to come to work in the family business someday, you're more than welcome to do that, but not until after you've proven yourself successful somewhere else. You're not just going to come in here because your last name rhymes with Fitzpatrick.
When my dad and I would talk about maybe one day coming back to the company, he was very clear with myself and my siblings that after you graduate college, you need to go be successful somewhere else. That was key. And it was one of the best things and best choices I've ever made.
Dan Fitzpatrick didn't just build restaurants, he built opportunity from the kitchen to the boardroom.
Many years ago, I remember talking to Dan, and he told me there's no job that at a Burger King that I have not done it myself. So I know exactly how to run these places.
Our success has always been boiled down to the most important element of almost any business, and that is to be guest-centric, customer-focused.
And he wants every customer to be served as if they are the only customer that we have.
People are surprised when there's an opening. He's usually at the window, or he's cooking, or he's in the dishwasher. The workers there love that.
We have a simple mantra in our company. It's called love the guest and help each other. And I can teach this to any team member that we have, from the youngest kid in his first job or a grizzled veteran. And then the help each other part. We have to work together to make the restaurant successful.
Demanding, but all for the right reasons.
I remember him going out personally into restaurants, up to a certain person and saying, thank you for what you did. You did a great job. Thank you for all you do to take care of our customers.
The reward and the enjoyment sometimes feels like it's all mine because I get to watch them grow and reach the potential that they were always entitled to get.
Every community has quiet heroes. Dan Fitzpatrick is one of them, a man who leads, gives, and lifts others without needing the spotlight.
You Can Lend a Hand program started back in 1982, and the need was obvious that they just needed a little hand. And it started there, it grew, it became successful. We're very proud. I think we've raised over $12 million for these schools over time.
There's a lot of people in life that hope to make some kind of a ripple on the pond. Dan has actually made a tsunami around us with all the good he's done in the community. And we, this community, are the lucky ones for that.
My grandparents were Irish immigrants. My mother, chief caregiver for my father every single day, yet she did so many things on a volunteer basis. So it came very natural to me and my brothers to be engaged in the community.
He doesn't want any child to be denied a Catholic education because of the inability of their family to afford it. So I think it just shows that he really has imbibed the church's preferential option for the poor.
He's there behind the scenes, rolling up his sleeves, doing what needs to be done, and serving those in need. So it has a real servant's heart. It's never been more important to recognize the heroes among us, and to me, Dan is one of those heroes.
What defines a person? For Dan Fitzpatrick, it's not just what he does, it's how he does it.
carrying our conversation with Dan is like somebody who you have known for years, even though you have met him today.
God's given all of us talents and gifts and abilities, and our requirement, our obligation, is to use it for the benefit of others.
Dan makes everyone that he encounters feel important, and he just does that naturally.
He's meticulous. He's probably the best person I've ever met at operations, at operating something, making sure that everything is done right, done the right way, that it's done in a classy way, and that people are responsible for what they do.
Dan is a father, Dan is a business leader, and a community leader. He's really the same guy for all three constituents. He notices that someone needs his help. He comes to a full stop. His entire focus is on that person and how he can help.
Dan is not one to toot his own horn, or he doesn't seek recognition. You know, he does it a lot behind the scenes.
Dan is a can-do person, and he helps you believe in yourself. Like he is the rising tide that raises all ships.
And it makes me think about scripture where it says, you know, I was hungry and you gave me food, I was thirsty and you gave me drink, I was a stranger and you welcomed me. And when I think about Dan, that's what I think about.
There are many ways to describe Dan Fitzpatrick: businessman, coach, mentor, friend. But those who know him best might start here.
We bankers actually like to make a joke occasionally, and the joke goes something like this. Do you know how to create a small fortune? And the answer to that is, well, start with a large fortune and open a restaurant.
Sports? Oh my goodness, his sports references. I do know that we have to have the Detroit Tigers available for him wherever he is, whether that be on a DirecTV, an app, or this or that.
Dan has an excellent sense of humor. Often though, his sense of humor is he's delivering it to somebody else. Somebody else is the object of his humor, as opposed to being self-deprecating.
He goes, you want to go to a Notre Dame game? So I'm like, I go to the home games. And he's like, no, this is in Syracuse. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to a Syracuse game. On the weekends, I got to be home with my wife. You know? And he's like, no, but what if we could go there? It's a 12 o'clock game. Come back, and I'll give you gift certificates to Papa Vino's. You could take her to dinner. Would she go for that? I'm like, I think she'd go for that.
So growing up, my dad always coached all four of us in basketball. So we joked that he was Bobby Knight. We called him the general. There may have been a broken clipboard or two, but he got down to the fundamentals. I could still explain our whole offense today. So he beat it into us, and we beat teams that we never should have beaten.
This is Dan's cell phone. He still has a flip phone.
Dan is famous here at First Source for calling people out for having too many slides and saying too much about something. Tell me what I need to know, not everything you know.
And I'll never forget when I was turning 16 and my dad's trying to teach me to drive. He said, you know what, they teach 99% of drivers to drive defensively, so I'm going on offense.
If we are away somewhere and we have driven separately, or we're driving separately where we're going, nobody has to say anything, but we get in our cars and then it's a race to see who gets there first. And I'm proud to say that I win most of the time.
I think the most important thing is that Dan not only serves Whopper, he is a Whopper.
As we reflect on the incredible impact Dan Fitzpatrick has made, one thing is clear: his heart for service, his commitment to others, and his deep connection to this community have touched countless lives. Whether through his professional leadership or quiet acts of kindness, Dan continues to be a steady, compassionate presence in the lives of so many.
When I think of the Helping Hands Award, I think of the Latin term caritas, which is charitable love. And the Helping Hands Award recognizes those people who live that spirit of caritas. And what I admire about the work of the Hospice Center is that in people's darkest moments, in their greatest time of need, in some of their loneliest time, hospice is there with that spirit of caritas, with that spirit of charitable love. And that's why I think tonight is so beautiful as we recognize Dan and celebrate the many other people in the Hospice Center who are extending that charitable love to those in the greatest need.
Dan is a fitting recipient of this award because of his consistent, persistent service to the community. The You Can Lend a Hand campaign that's gone on since he first arrived in the community for the Catholic schools and is a vivid example of that. Certainly so too is his service as a member of the Board of Trustees at Holy Cross College, a pivotal member of the Women's Care Center Foundation Board, and countless other charities that he's been on and have made a difference in this community. It's hard to measure those intangible things. They're real, they're lasting, they're permanent, and they are part of what makes this community a better community.
There are so many deserving people in our community. I'm honored, I'm gratified, I'm very humbled, I'm undeserving, but I'll be happy to receive this honor, but most importantly, to support the great work of hospice.
Congratulations again to Dan Fitzpatrick, the recipient of the 2025 Helping Hands Award. Your kindness, commitment, and the way you show up for our community truly embodies the spirit of hospice care. Thank you for being a shining example of what it means to serve others with heart. We are honored to celebrate you.